It is. Hi, BookTube. Hi, it's Peg at the History Shelf. Welcome back to a bookshelf tour number 3, I believe it is. And as you can see, I am standing in front of my bookcase at a very extreme angle. We're going to do bookshelf number 2 from the bottom up. I've already done a bookshelf tour on the Russians right here. Yep, done all that. I've done that row. So this is technically my third bookshelf tour. So here we go. Okay guys, so last time we did this shelf, if you recall, so now we're moving up. And just so you know, there's no rhyme or reason. Well, there is slightly, but a couple books really don't belong here. Well, you'll figure it out. Anyway, okay, so the first book I have is Roger Williams and the Creation of the American Soul, Church, State, and the Birth of Liberty by John Barry. And guess what? I was just talking about his book, The Great Influenza, because I just did a book review on Pandemic 1918, and I didn't realize he wrote a book on Roger Williams, that he also did The Great Influenza. Fabulous. So, really nice book, as you can see. I haven't read it yet, but I will. Next book on my shelf. Sorry, I'll get a hang of this, guys. Is Story of a Death Foretold. The Coup Against Salvador Allende, September 11th, 1973, by Oscar Guardiola Rivera. So this is something I have not read as well, but I'm very intrigued by South American history and all the different coups. I'm currently reading a book right now on Colombia, and I'm loving it. Wanting to learn more about the cartels down there, Pablo Escobar, started watching Narcos, the whole thing. Aha! Bernard Bailyn is a very famous historian, and this book is separated from a couple of others that I own by him, but I'm trying to get them all in one place. But this is The Barbarous Years, The Peopling of British North America, The Conflict of Civilization, 1600 to 1675. Nice decal edge. That's Bernard Bailyn. I recently picked out another Bailyn book, and this one I did make sure to include next to him. This one is a used copy, I think. This is Voyagers to the West, A Passage in the Peopling of America on the Eve of the Revolution. It's winner of the Pulitzer Prize. All right, hang on. Okay, so some of these books I can't get back in. I see what Leaf by Leaf was talking about. Then we have The Civil War of 1812, another great historian that I love, Alan Taylor. This is American Citizens, British Subjects, Irish Rebels, and Indian Allies. I have another book by him that should be right next to this book, but it isn't. Aha, it's up here. American Revolutions, Alan Taylor. Okay, so that's a book that should be next to this one. Hang on, I have to adjust. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I'm using a handheld device here. Next book is Nick Bunker, Making Haste from Babylon, The Mayflower Pilgrims and Their World, A New History. You can see that. I think you're sensing a theme. It's like early American history here. You know, War of 1812. The coup against Allende does not belong here, obviously. That's the one that does not belong. Nathaniel Philbrick. You can't have early American history without this guy. And then we have Mayflower, Story of Courage, Community, and War. This one is actually a book club edition. You can see there's that number. I would like to have this in the first edition, so I'll work on it. Next book that I have is First Founders by Francis J. Bremer. American Puritans and Puritanism in an Atlantic World. This is also a book club edition. So I have some of my older books are on this shelf here, because I pretty much have moved away from book club editions because they really don't make them anymore, thank goodness. Also, I just hate them. Then we have Conquered into Liberty by Eliot A. Cohen. 2 centuries of battles along the Great War path that made the American way of war. I've seen this guy on Book TV, I think. It's very interesting. And then we have The First Frontier The Forgotten History of Struggle, Savagery, and Endurance in Early America by Scott Wiedensaul. This is a first edition. Who makes this? This is HMH Publishing. So yeah, early American history is pretty much all on this shelf here. I really want to get this book back in. Let me know, guys, if you've got any of these books on your shelves. That'd be cool. Then we kind of move into some world history. We have Catherine of Aragon, the Spanish Queen of Henry VIII, and this is by Giles Tremlett. Giles Tremlett. This is, yeah, I knew it. You can tell by the feel of these books it was a book club edition. Not a big fan. I might have to get another edition of that. Next we have Philip of Spain by Henry Kamen. I bought this one used, and it's a very nice copy. No remainder marks or anything, and this is Yale University Press, New Haven, London. Good stuff there. Oh, and then we move into, I started collecting the works of Hugh Thomas. And it's always been on my list of things I want to start is tackling the New World. Actually, these books probably should have started the shelf. But he has chronicled the conquest of the New World by Spain, and he covers a lot of the Spanish Empire. And I believe this is the first book in the series, Conquest, Montezuma, Cortez, and the Fall of Old Mexico by Hugh Thomas. Okay, so that's the first book. Then we get into A World Without End, Spain, Philip II, and the First Global Empire. And these are just beautiful books, by the way. I believe this one is first edition good, because I wanted to have these all in first editions. Look how pretty they are. Then we have The Golden Empire, Spain, Charles V, and the Creation of America. Wonderful work. And then I think actually this might, I'm trying to figure out if this book was a standalone or if it fits into this trilogy over here. This is Hugh Thomas's Rivers of Gold, The Rise of the Spanish Empire from Columbus to Magellan. This one's in paperback, so good stuff. So basically 4 books by Hugh Thomas. Got these all together. Very happy with these. Then we go into a series of the books that 2 of them are by the same person, but this one is a little outlier. This is 1494. How a Family Feud in Medieval Spain Divided the World in Half by Stephen R. Brown. This is a book club edition. Yeah, there's that number. Yeah. This one is about, it's hard for me to do this when I'm holding the camera. It kind of goes into Columbus and Pope Alexander VI and the Borgias, so that actually might be pretty interesting. I have not read it yet. Okay, putting that aside. Charles C. Mann has written the next 2, and I'll just go in order here.
Charles C. Mann is his real name? Sorry.
C. Mann, like C. And
Charles C's man? Charles C's tree?
Charles C. Mann. She's...
I'm so bored, you guys.
She's bored. Martina's bored over there. So we have 1491, New Revelations of the Americas before Columbus. 2nd edition, so very nice copy. I think I was supposed to start buddy reading this with Patrice and Lukash, Totally Pretentious, this month, but I think we're all kind of overloaded. I know I am. So you guys, I don't know if we're going to put this off till maybe the summertime. That would be okay. Then he followed up with a 1493, Uncovering the New World Columbus Created. Oh, darn it. It's a book club edition. Yeah, some of these books are older. I think when we get into the next shelf, they'll be mostly first editions. But anyway, so I kind of have these grouped, 1494 with 1491 and 1493. And then this one is kind of out of place as well, but it's the great David McCullough, The Greater Journey, Americans in Paris. And I do want to read this because I just know his prose will be just amazing. And oh, there's the fine gentleman. We love him, don't we? Oh, it's a book club edition. Damn it. Anyway, I like the decal edges, so that's probably why I'll keep this book club edition. Um, yeah, but yeah, he'll be talking about all the great like intellectuals and the inventors and uh, no, just all the people that went to Paris and hung out there, expatriates, I guess. So yeah, David McCullough. All right, and then on this final one here, we have The First North Americans by Brian Fagan. It's the Thames and Hudson book. These are great reference works. I'm just going to point this down for a second while I open it. Yeah, look at that. This is a good like textbook on Native Americans, the very first ones. This is, oh, I just love this stuff. See, I go through my shelves and then I immediately just want to start reading that book, even though I'm reading 5 others. I wonder if you guys have the same issue. So that's the shelf. Where are we at? We're at 11 minutes. I think I could probably squeeze in another shelf, you guys. What do you say? Should I keep going? The answer is, doesn't matter what you say because I'm doing it. Just kidding. All right, so the next shelf is going to be more modern day history, or like 20th century history. Obviously, you're going to see my huge set here. 3-volume set of William Manchester, and then finished with Paul Reed, The Last Lion biographies on Winston Churchill. Now, let me just say, as far as dust jackets go, that I'm having a hard time. I want my books to have the same series of dust jackets. So you see that there's a theme here, right? Well, this one is supposed to be white, and then alternating with a color. I cannot find The Last Lion alone, 1932 to 1940, in hardcover, in this type of later republished dust jacket. So this is like an older one by Little and Brown, and this one is the 175th anniversary one. So as you can see, I had to buy it used, but this is The Last Lion, with Winston Spencer Churchill alone. So that begins. And then we move into Visions of Glory. Nope, I'm sorry. God, I got these out of order. Well, Visions of Glory is what starts it, because he's a young man here, obviously. This is 1874 to 1932. Then you go into Alone, and I just see how that just ruins the whole feel. It should be white. And then the final volume, which was finished with Paul Reed, is Last Lion, Defender of the Realm. 1940 to 1965. Oops, sorry for the glare. And so basically from here on out, up until here, is a bunch of Churchill books. I've kind of got a very big Churchill collection. And I have a few more Churchill books scattered throughout the house as well. But we have John Kelly's Never Surrender, Winston Churchill and Britain's decision to fight Nazi Germany in the fateful summer of 1940. That's a fairly recent book. The next book, yes, Lawrence James. I read his other book on the British Empire. I think The Rise and Fall of the British Empire. Outstanding. And this was his most recent book, Churchill and Empire, A Portrait of an Imperialist. Haven't gotten to this one yet, but Lawrence James is great. He's written a book on the British Empire and the Raj in India, but also obviously the overall 1-volume history of the rise and fall of the British Empire, which I highly recommend. Then we have, speaking of which, hope he's feeling well, Boris Johnson wrote a book on Churchill. It's called The Churchill Factor, How One Man Made History. Now, I have not dipped into this yet, so I don't, there he is. And he was in intensive care, so we hope he's feeling better. I have not seen, I don't know how his writing style is, but I would like to dip into this fairly soon. Then we have Churchill's First War, Young Winston at War with the Afghans by Con Coughlin. That's a very familiar name, and I'm blanking on some of the other books he's written, but This is, I thought, would be a great addition. This is a very new book by Candace Millard, whom I love because she wrote one of my favorite books of all time, Destiny of the Republic, about the assassination attempt, well, and the eventual death of President Garfield. So I love her writing, and I know this is going to be outstanding. This is Hero of the Empire. The Boer War, a daring escape in the making of Winston Churchill. He was captured in the beginning of that war, and he did have a very intriguing escape tale, and Candace Miller covers it in this book. Again, I love her work. Okay, so here's the big mammoth one that everyone was talking about last year, which I still have to make time for. I've seen if some of my fellow booktubers have read it, or are tackling it, or will be. And this is Andrew Roberts' Walking with Destiny, Churchill. Andrew Roberts is very familiar. I was supposed to start his Napoleon book. Sorry, Kathy, at the Grim Reader. I know you kind of had to bail on it. I just haven't gotten a chance to get to it, but I do want to read his work on Churchill. It's supposed to be the end-all, be-all of one, biography. It's just supposed to be brilliant. Okay, so we move on from Churchill into a book on British Empire. And this is John Darwin's The Unfinished Empire, The Global Expansion of Britain. I think I bought this when I was taking a class on the British Empire. And, of course, I got busy with reading stuff for class, but who puts this out? Bloomsbury Press. I like their stuff. Okay, so Max Boot is the next guy. Now, you might see him a lot talking on the news, but he's a commentator, but he's also a trained historian, and he's a journalist, and he's written a lot of really great books. His most recent book, I think, was on some Vietnam book about one of the guys in Vietnam. But this is one of his magnum opuses, opus. This is Invisible Armies, an epic history of guerrilla warfare from ancient times to the present. Yes, and he's also well known for the Savage Wars of Peace. He gets very high marks from other historians. This is a very huge book. Rick Atkinson, John Meacham, Jay Winnick. This is all about guerrilla warfare and fascinating stuff. Beautiful book, deckle-edged. Okay, then we kind of moving into a collection I've been putting together as they started coming out of Nigel Hamilton's 3-volume, his trilogy on FDR in World War II, which begins with The Mantle of Command, FDR at War, 1941 to 1942. This is put out by HMH. HMH, is that Harcourt something? And then volume number 2 is Commander-in-Chief, FDR's Battle with Churchill, 1943. And this one just came out late last year, I believe. Oh, this is the one Steve Donahue was, he was crabbing about. Because he's like, what kind of title? You should never call War and Peace. You'd never call a book War and Peace, But it is the name of the final book. It's FDR's Final Odyssey, D-Day to Yalta, 1943-1945. A picture of D-Day indeed. So it's a beautiful set, as you can see. Oh, speaking of Jay Winnick, I just mentioned him in the blurb for Max Boot's book. Here's his major study on 1944, FDR and the Year That Changed History. So as you can see, I've got this era covered a lot, and these are not my only ones in FDR. I have more upstairs. I think I have a few others scattered around. Eventually, when I get a house with a big, huge, either basement library or whatever, I will categorize the crap out of all of my books, and I will get every subject, topic subject together in one shelf or sections of shelves. But that's Jay Winnick, who also wrote a great book on 1865, the final year of the Civil War. So, oh yes, and here's another massive biography that I've been wanting to start. I paid good money for this one, let me tell you. I wanted this one as soon as it came out. This is George Marshall, Defender of the Republic by David L. Roll. I wanted to know more about this guy. I've read about him through other biographies on Eisenhower, MacArthur, oh, just World War II books in general, and he had such an impact on the future of the world order after the end of World War II that it's just, I wanted to know more about the man. So, and it's been highly touted. And so here's an interesting book by Lynn Olson. This is called Those Angry Days. This is about Roosevelt, Lindbergh, oh, we got a glare, sorry, and America's fight over World War II, 1939 to 1941. So I think most of you know, well, there's a new series out. What's the name of this series? Is it on HBO?
What am I talking about?
The Philip Roth, the America...
Oh, The Plot Against America.
The Plot Against America, which Philip Roth wrote a book, like an alternative history. What if Charles Lindbergh ran for president or became president? Because he really was, but that show, I think it's on HBO or something.
It is.
Yeah, is all fictional, obviously. But it really did, he picked up on a real historical story here, is that Lindbergh did not like Roosevelt, didn't like the way he was running the country. I think he was an isolationist. People whispered that he was a bit of a white supremacist? Nazi, maybe?
Can you be a bit of a white supremacist?
Not a bit of a white supremacist. He was.
It's like sometimes you wear a white shirt, sometimes you wear
Can you
white
be
shoes.
a little bit pregnant? Can you be a little bit of a... Yeah. So this book kind of touches on that, and, well, it delves into it in extreme detail. So if you guys have never heard the story about the antipathy between these two, check it out. Lynn Olson. She's got some other good stuff, too, Citizens of London. And then to finish off this shelf, I've got Potsdam, The End of World War II and the Remaking of Europe by Michael Nyberg. This is a slim little volume, you see. Basic books, love their stuff. But I think I also got this book because I was studying Yalta and Potsdam. I was writing a paper on the Cold War. So this kind of filled in a lot of gaps. This is the first time that Truman, got to face off with Stalin, because FDR had passed away shortly before Potsdam. So it was a very, tense time. Tense time. And so anyway, this is my two shelves. I'm really happy with this, how this worked out, you guys. Let me know if you like this, if it was too jarring, if the camera was too jittery. But I basically got two shelves done in 22 minutes. So if you like that, let me know. We have more to go, as you can see. Ooh, we got 3 more shelves. We'll move into some more early American history. And then the top 2 shelves are ancient history, mostly Roman stuff like that. And then we'll continue on and come down again. We can skip over the Russian one, which I did. And then we'll just continue on. And yeah, so that was my bookshelf tour. Let me see if I'm in camera. Yes, I am. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think. And I'll do another one real soon. All right? Thanks, guys. Bye.
Very good, huh?
Peace. Peace.